Clive, Nicoli, and Elsa Kast are two very skilled genetic engineers who work for a business named N.E.R.D. The company focuses on splicing the DNA of different animals to create new life forms that could be utilized as medicine through a variety of studies. Ultimately, Clive and Elsa are successful in their quest after numerous failed efforts. After marveling at their creations for a while, the pair names the two hideous creatures Fred and Ginger. The goal of the two species was to create therapeutic proteins for animals. After observing the remarkable outcomes and potential prospects of their study, Clive and Elsa surmise that they can use the identical splicing method they employed for Fred to people. The two scientists believe that if the method is used properly, it may be a miraculous treatment for many diseases that are currently incurable, like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. Their bosses, Joan Corrett and William Barlow, strongly disapproved of their proposal and prevented the young scientists from conducting any human experiments because it might result in negative publicity for the company. Clive and Elsa make the decision to carry out their research covertly. The two are able to successfully merge an animal into a human after several failed tries. Inspired by their breakthrough in science, Elsa makes the decision to bring the genetic material to the delivery room so that their creation can begin to take shape. Elsa is eager to carry out the experiment since it might provide a cure for numerous human ailments, despite Clive's disapproval. She calms Clive by assuring him that no one will ever find out because they're going to eliminate the creature before it reaches full term. The moment Clive turns on the machine, the conception process begins. Clive is speaking with one of his co-workers later. Clive deflects the young man's question about what he and Elsa are working on. Elsa is seen inspecting the incubator in the meantime. She is immediately alarmed when the creature's heartbeat abruptly stops, but she soon feels reassured when it starts up again. Elsa and Clive are relaxing in their apartment after work, discussing the possibility of relocating to a larger one. Elsa is clearly nervous as they continue their chat and they discuss having children. Clive's phone rings with an alert cutting off their talk. They quickly head to the lab. Even if the fetus is still months away from the expected delivery, it turns out that it is ready to emerge. While trying to modify the machine and halt the creature's birth, Clive and Elsa fail, and Elsa hurts her hand in the process. The creature is created, but Clive stops it before it can escape and cause more harm by trapping it beneath a plastic container. He proceeds to rescue Elsa, whose wound, likely poisoned by the creature's poison, is causing her to convulse and lose consciousness. She receives a medication injection from Clive, and she returns to normal. Clive and Elsa go back to their apartment. Both Clive and Elsa are extremely shaken by the birth, and Clive says they ought to destroy their creation. Although Clive is determined to eliminate the creature, Elsa reminds him that they can still learn a lot from this predicament. When they eventually go to the lab together to kill the creature, they discover what looks to be a dead body in the incubator. After giving it more scrutiny, Elsa discovers that although there is a lot of dead tissue in the incubator, the creature's whole body is absent. Almost at once, she hears quick, little footsteps approaching her. A tiny, chicken-like creature appears and makes an impression on Elsa. After successfully knocking the monster unconscious, Elsa and Clive investigate it and discover that, although lacking a predatory gene in its DNA, it is capable of excreting venom. As the creature lives on, it becomes clear that its faulty DNA is causing it to age quickly. Later that evening, Clive meets with Barlow, who warned him that Elsa and Clive will be held responsible if they are unable to sell the therapeutic proteins that Ginger and Fred have given them. After a month, the creature has become incredibly big. Its behavior leads one to believe that its intelligence is on par with that of a toddler human. To Clive's dismay, Elsa develops a relationship with the animal and starts to treat it more like a kid than a scientific experiment. She even goes so far as to remove the stinger's covering and release the creature from its confinement place. Elsa named the monster Dren, which is N.E.R.D spelled backwards, after it spelled nerd out of toys after seeing the company's name on Elsa's shirt. Elsa and Clive argue as a result of Elsa's handling of Dren. Their lab is about to be remodeled, which increases the likelihood that someone may observe their secret experiment. Therefore, it appears like their experiment is in danger of being discovered. Gavin, Clive's labmate and another college student, enters the room covertly to listen in on their talk at that point, but he suddenly bumps into Dren. He bolts from the scene, terrified. Clive and Elsa make the decision to conceal Dren in a storage area away from prying eyes by having her slip out of a card box. Elsa is quite concerned about Dren's high temperature, which they find disappointing. Dren's fever immediately subsided after Elsa and Clive immersed her in a cold water bath. It's apparent that Dren has questionable lung development when Clive holds him underwater. Elsa gives Dren a Barbie doll that she had to hide from her mother when she was a child while she takes care of it that evening. Dren has become considerably bigger over time and has developed a more womanly human aspect. Dren is observed surreptitiously observing Elsa and Clive from the adjacent room as they frolic around and eventually engage in sexual activity on the couch. The following day, Clive and Elsa show off Fred and Ginger, their initial hybrid creatures, to the whole public. Unfortunately, the two creatures turn exceedingly violent and fight each other to death, making for a horribly disastrous presentation. Clive and Elsa investigated and discovered that Ginger had changed into a man. Her motivation for doing so remained a mystery. Elsa's mother used to own an ancient farmhouse, which Elsa and Clive planned to move Dren into. Dren dashes off to find food as soon as they arrive at the farm. Elsa and Clive move to the farmhouse after arranging Dren's room in the barn. When they unlock the door, they find themselves in a dirty room with a bed, one chair, and a bucket, which suggests that Elsa was raised in an abusive home. Dren, meantime, is not content with her existence on the farm. Clive tolerates Dren's rebellious behavior well, while Elsa finds it very upsetting because her creators are always away from home and she is just a cat for company. Elsa makes the decision to stay home and keep Dren company in an effort to ward off Dren. Elsa gives Dren a ton of jewelry and makeup to cheer her up, despite her mother's strong prohibition on it when Elsa was younger. Elsa notices that there are several drawings of Clive on the makeup table, but not a single one of her. Elsa takes Dren's cat away as she flees, scared that Dren can't have everything she wants and that this is a necessary part of growing up. Upon reaching home, Clive discovers that Dren is depressed. He tries to lift her spirits by playing music and engaging in a dance with her. Clive had illicit feelings for Dren when they were dancing, and he soon finds out that Elsa used some of her DNA to create Dren. When he approaches Elsa, they argue, and Clive turns to go away. Elsa chooses to give Dren the cat she had previously taken away when Clive leaves, but Dren kills it, which prompts Elsa to hit Dren across the face. Dren sprang for Elsa, hoping she would take the barn keys and flee, but instead she knocks her unconscious and straps her to a table. As a result of Dren's aggressive actions, Elsa starts to remove her garments and jewelry. She also takes off her stinger. Elsa brings the stinger back to the lab to locate the proteins and synthesize them for her study when Clive arrives. When Clive visits the farm the following day in hopes of finding Elsa, he is greeted by Dren, who tries to woo him. After first refusing, Clive eventually gives in to Dren's efforts and the two engage in sexual activity. It is evident that Dren has grown back her previously removed stinger during the act. Elsa enters on them, much to Clive's dismay, and flees in disgust. Clive rushes over to her, and after they get into their car and head to their former apartment, they argue over Elsa's opinions of Dren. It comes out that Elsa desired to produce a child rather than bear a child in the conventional sense because she yearned for control over the child, a craving that most likely originated from her maltreated upbringing. After their disagreement, the two return to the home where they discovered Dren dead in her bed. They burn Dren's clothing and bury her body. Elsa discovers Dren's self-portrait drawings while rearranging Dren's belongings. Gavin and Barlow arrive there after learning of Elsa and Clive's secret. Before they can start a conversation, Dren arrives out of nowhere. He now has a more manly appearance, suggesting that he too has changed into the opposite gender like Ginger. Dren turns violent, murdering Gavin and Barlow before launching a surprise attack on Clive. Elsa escapes into the woods, but Dren finds her immediately, so she doesn't make much progress. Clive intervenes by impaling Dren with a branch from behind as he pounces on Elsa, forcing her to the ground and forcing sexual relations. After Dren attacks Clive, Elsa hits Dren in the head with a rock, ending the monster's life permanently. After all of this, Elsa is still employed by N.E.R.D and has been given authorization to carry out more study on the proteins that were found in Dren's body. She is obviously pregnant when she stands up, raising the probability that she is carrying Dren's child. This is where the film finishes. To ensure you never miss any updates on new videos, kindly click the bell icon, subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.